The U.S. government just deleted the food pyramid as we knew it. But the real danger isn't the butter or seed oils, it's the ambiguity. Yesterday, here in January 2026, the U.S. Department of Health didn't just change our diet, they changed the rules of the game. I mean, for 40 years, the food pyramid was the baseline. Now, under the MAHA initiative, that baseline has been inverted. Most commenters are arguing about the science of seed oil and the politics of RFK Jr., but they're missing the most dangerous consequence, and it isn't health, it's the performance risk. My research has focused in on how humans perform in high-stakes environments, and here's the core truth. Performance doesn't just break under pressure, it breaks under ambiguity. Pressure isn't having a deadline. Ambiguity is not knowing what a good job looks like anymore. Today, we're going to look at the biological tax of how this uncertainty is why the new food pyramid is a masterclass in how ambiguity kills performance. To understand why you feel exhausted just reading the headlines, you have to look at the Yerkes-Dodson Law. In simple terms, the law states that your performance increases with physiological or mental arousal, essentially stress, but only up to a certain point. Once you pass that peak, performance actually craters. Now, here's the refinement that most people miss. The peak of that curve shifts based on the task. So really, for simple, clear tasks like running a race, man, you can handle high levels of stress. But for complex, unfamiliar tasks, the curve shifts slightly. Your peak happens much sooner and the drop-off is much steeper. See, ambiguity turns every task into a complex task. When the rules of nutrition suddenly flip, your brain can no longer automate decisions. You have to manualize everything. This is a biological tax because the brain perceives ambiguity as a threat. It stays in a state of hyperarousal because of it. You aren't just stressed, you are burning metabolic fuel trying to solve an equation with missing variables that have been there for your entire life. This keeps you trapped in really a downward slope on that Yerkes-Dodson curve where more effort actually leads to less performance. Think of it as this equation. P equals C times A divided by U, where P is performance, C is competence, A is adaptability, and U is uncertainty. See, as ambiguity approaches infinity, performance drops to zero, regardless of how competent or great you are at getting these things done. So, what happens when you stay in the overwhelmed zone, right? We fall into a binary trap for the most part. In 2026, we are seeing this real time. Faced with ambiguity of new guidelines, people aren't staying objective. They are retreating to the right versus the wrong, the binaries. You've seen this with tariffs. You've seen this with many other decisions that have happened in our political environment. This is a survival mechanism, y'all. The brain hates ambiguity so much that it would rather confidently be wrong than uncertainly right. If you can just decide that MAHA is a cult or FDA is evil, you resolve the ambiguity. The lower your arousal level back to that peak curve. But here's the problem. Binary thinking is the death of adaptability and learning agility. Once you pick a side to lower the biological tax, you stop processing new data, and that's a problem. It inhibits your ability to adapt. You have successfully lowered your stress, but you have permanently capped your performance at that point. See, this isn't just about what you eat, y'all. This is exactly why your enterprise transformations fail. Look at a strategy execution, right? If your 2026 strategy is flexible, but you haven't defined the boundaries, your team is paying in a biological tax every single day. They are too aroused by the uncertainty to be creative. You see this when there's mergers and acquisitions and people are uncertain about their jobs. I want you to look at AI governance, for example. We are seeing companies like completely freeze because they don't have the clear AI guardrails. It's not about lack of tech, y'all. It's the Yerkes-Dodson choke caused by ambiguity of the law, okay? And look at policy rollouts. When leadership changes the food pyramid of a culture overnight, they don't just buy in, they have a binary burnout. You cannot lead people through pressure if you haven't first resolved the ambiguity. It's just going to continually cause problems. So how do high performers handle the 2026 food wars? They use a performance pivot. So step number one, lower the complexity. Since the Yerkes-Dodson's peak is lower for complex tasks, you must make sure tasks are simple again. Don't fix your diet, fix one ingredient. 2, externalize the rules. Ambiguity is internal. Clarity is external. Write down a new operating rules so that your brain doesn't have to keep them in the active memory banks. 3, monitor the tax. There is a tax, y'all, so monitor it. If you find yourself thinking all or nothing in terms of that way, you have passed peak performance. Stop, recalibrate. In an ambiguous world, the winner isn't the one who works the hardest, it's the one who manages the cognitive tax the best. See, the new dietary guidelines are a test of our resilience, not just our physical health, but our mental agility. Don't let shifting rules of the world push you off your performance curve. Focus on clarity over certainty. If you found this analysis of the biological tax helpful, subscribe and join the tribe. We are doing this constantly, every single week, every single day now. We don't just follow the news, we architect systems to survive in it. But before you go, I have a question. In your life right now, what is the biggest performance killer? Is it the pressure of high stakes or the ambiguity of the rules? Tell me which one is draining your battery more this week in the comments. I'll be there for the first 60 minutes to audit your comments, to read every single one of them, to help us all find some level of clarity. Hey, remember, I'm Dr. Devon Morris, and I'll see you at the peak of the curve.